Hey, this is Kevin Coy from Kevin's Micro Homestead, and I thought I'd do an update video with Steven, my son-in-law, here on the bus project. So this is episode 2 of the bus project, and he's gotten quite a bit done, so we got a fair amount to cover today, so let's get started. So you did quite a bit of demo in here since the last time we've been on video. There was a bed here and a bunch of cabinets and all kinds of stuff that you've removed. How many pounds of things did you take out of here?
It was, well, 350 pounds of garbage that was a dump, and then a truckload worth of wood that we burned.
Yeah.
But,
And a leak.
And a leak that we're working on right now.
Which we found. So that's
luckily,
good.
Luckily we found it now and be able to seal it up right.
Not when it was done, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of, you've kind of got it down to the point where you're starting to do your actual rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you were addressing was the leaks and some of the things that the windows, for instance. We pulled all these windows out, and they flip out this way as an emergency exit, and then they also have a couple of windows that were sliders, and some of those panes were broken, so that was kind of an interesting day, just pulling all these things apart and replacing the glass and figuring out how all this worked, and then sealing everything up real good. And so we got all that accomplished in a day, I guess.
Yeah, it was actually only a half day's worth of work. Resealed and rebedded them all. These sliders, like the ones that were in the worst shape, we decided just to make them no longer sliders, and they're fully sealed now until we finally do a transition from these windows to these solid piece ones like this. These are insulated windows, whereas those are not single panes, and so we're going to end up switching those ones out.
So you took a lot of just extra metal and just pieces and parts from when it was a charter bus, and you got quite a little scrap pile going outside that you're going to have to take into the recycler, and so that took a lot of weight out of here. I'm going to guess you probably took pushing 1,000 pounds off the bus, I suppose.
Easy.
All said and done.
Yeah. And
so then you went ahead and you started prepping to insulate the bus, and you did quite a bit of research on how to do this, and so you came up with this Reflectix material as your insulator. And go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the Reflectix, not a whole lot of people are using, but the people that are getting really good results out of it. It works off radiant heat technology. It's bubble wrapped with 2 sides of foam. A lot of people don't do it the way we did, where it's actually attached directly to the outer skin. But the reason why we did that is because we're more focused on keeping heat in than keeping heat out. Because Reflectix is based off of airspace, and so you have 1.5 inches of ribbing space right here before you hit the Reflectix, and so you need a minimum of 3/4 of an inch. And so this will allow heat to radiate back down, but when you have the sun like beating down on the roof, it's not going to be as effective on that. So that's why we do like a thermocoat on the outside, those roll-on radiant heat barriers that you're able to paint directly on the top of the bus, and that will be the other side of the foil in theory.
Okay, so you've got a lot of work involved in here. You can get pretty good reception on the radio now, can't you?
Oh yeah.
From all this metal, aluminum or whatever, the foil backing and everything.
Yep.
And then you taped all these, and then you've been today putting urethane foam up into the ribbing and into these side panels. Is that
I spray foamed it all 10 windows the whole way down the bus and all the ribs, and it's quite a process, but it creates a really good result. No more hollow sound, you know.
It stiffens up the frame.
Oh, big time! It makes the whole bus more rigid.
And you get a good result for an R value from. You know, you got a limited amount of space to work with here, and so it's not like you're doing a house where you've got a pretty big pocket for insulation. So you got to use some high-tech stuff here to get a good result. And so the other thing you've done is worked on. You've got a couple of hatches right here that had to get redone, and then you've still got a skylight right there that you've got.
I got to seal these 2 hatches. The skylight has to be sealed, and that one hatch up ahead, and then we're done and ready to button up the whole bus and start paneling.
And as we're speaking, I'm watching little bits of foam squirting out of holes falling. So we got stalactites of urethane foam
It's
trying to
slowly hardening up.
So what's your next move? You got all this pretty well done as far as the ribs and the insulation and stuff. What's going to happen now?
Well, next step is paneling.
Okay.
After this is fully sealed, we're gonna go ahead and panel it all with 1/8" ply and run wood strippers to seal the seams.
And then you'll be ready to actually do some build out as far as how you're going to configure the cabinetry and rooms and so forth. And you wound up, you said you're going to keep the toilet, but you're going to move it?
Yeah, well, we were not fully decided yet, but we're talking about moving it 1 foot farther towards the front of the bus.
Okay.
And it'll be sitting directly over the Blackwater tank, and it gives us a little bit more room for the bedroom.
So what else happened? We were playing around with the furnace, and we kind of got it working for a while, but now it's not behaving, so we're going to have to do some more
it
diagnostics on there.
We're going to have to pull it apart and see what's going on the inside. But we know that it did work, and it worked for us for a little bit, so it might just be something simple. And
just got to figure out what the heck's going on there. And then we also wired up the shore power plug from the power panel underneath for 220, and actually ran it over and plugged it into the wall on the shop, and we had power for
about half a second.
Something like that. And so we don't know what happened there either, so we may have a ground that we're dealing with that we got to sort out. So
loose ground or loose neutral, just somewhere that's making the sockets not work right.
Yeah, so all the fun, but we did wind up cleaning up a lot of electrical wiring, and there was a whole bunch of
It's all behind the
half done, who knows what's going on around here. It looked like a couple different guys have been trying to figure out a couple different things, and so it just kind of demoed all this garbage out of here and just got down to the bare bones, so we could know what we didn't want any live wires sticking out, poking people and zapping them and whatever. And so there's quite a bit of streamlining that's accomplished here. And did you ever plug this in to see if it worked?
Yep.
Yeah. So the air conditioner works. So that's a regular RV roof air that somebody put in the past, and that works out.
And that one's a little bit small for a bus of this size. It was more designed for like a Class C.
Yeah.
But it will work good, even if especially if we put a second one in the rear.
And I see a lot on fifth wheels. You'll see 2 different units, one on either end, like 2 1500 BTU air conditioners put in just to keep up with, because it's pretty good space.
Yeah.
And especially if you're out in the sun where you get a lot of heat, you're gonna, these aren't the most efficient for holding any kind of type of heat or cooling inside. So you're just gonna have to overcome that with more BTU. That's all you need to do.
And we're talking about putting one in the bedroom and replacing one of these hatches.
Just, swapping that out and sticking it in the hatch that's already up there. Cool. So paneling is going to be coming up, and lots of things happening here taking shape. It's going to start looking more like a home than a hollowed out bus. And so looking forward to the next episode as Steven's progressing along here. I know he's got some. I'll talk about how much time we got. Where are we at?
8.5 minutes.
Okay, so let's real quick. Talk to us a little bit about what you're going to do here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 steps.
Well, first of all, we're putting a front cap on it.
Okay.
So we're raising this section of the roof. And when we do that, it's going to allow us to extend our floor at that level as far forward as we can.
Okay.
And
So you're going to come. So this is the upper deck up here, and what he's talking about doing is just extending this all the way out to where?
All the way out to here. I'll have a buddy seat right here for my navigator. And then like our stairs, instead of coming in right here, you're going to come in, you're going to have a step, another quarter step right there, and then when you step up here, you're going to actually be coming up from the side instead of over here.
Okay. Because that was normally set up as an aisle down the middle between the 2 sets of seats. So this is really, this window basically, he's talking about shoving straight forward and following this roof line clear back to where?
All the way to the front.
So what is that, about 4 feet?
Yeah, we'll be able to get 46 inches of more floor space. And the cool thing about that is this is going to be a big hollow cavity here, so put a couple trap doors in, it's just more storage.
Yeah. Awesome. So there's lots of nice little mods going on here. You got a nice pile of wires here you got to sort through. So this will be really interesting to see how this unfolds. And you've, what have you read, about 100 magazines?
Oh my goodness. That whole
bus
stack.
conversion magazines that he's gone through. So he's dug through a ton of material there. Plus, I know you've spent countless hours on the internet Googling and researching and just not only bus conversions, but just materials to be used in an RV or in this type of a build out, and just to find out what's the most efficient and durable for because you got a lot of your road going down the road and all the flexing and bouncing and carrying on, so you got to kind of take all that into consideration. So pretty crazy. And what are you going to do for a finished floor you were talking about?
We're doing a laminate because one, price, and then also thickness. And this is what this is a sample of the piece that we're looking at right now. It's only 8 millimeters thick, and so we're not really going to lose any headroom. And especially, so 8 millimeters for this, and then a quarter inch pad underneath it. So barely any height loss. So yeah.
And again, so that's what you're putting a real thin skin or membrane of a finished material on the floor and the walls and ceiling and everything, so that you're not adding any more or shrinking any more of your space than you already have. So and height is a potential issue. The person behind the camera, my daughter, was has 1.5 feet over her head, but Stephen and I we're closer to the roof here than the average bear, so he's not wanting to have to hunch over to walk through his abode, so he's going to keep that floor right down where it needs to be and not lose any headspace in the process. So until next time, episode 3 coming up. I'll see you soon.